And with that, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. I am Chrissy. I'm the film nerd, joined by my man Darren from Subjective Perspective Collective TV, celebrating their anniversary very soon in our to kill. Specifically, this is Giallo Rex, where Darren chooses 5 films I had not seen yet in the Giallo genre. Hence, we got the yellow here. We got the shirt going. We're all ready to go. And we got some bangers today. All of these, I think, equally of. My goodness, they're in the upper echelon. And yeah, we are going to discuss these awesome films. And by the way, how you doing there, Darren?
I'm good, man. All good coming from the UK. Weather's starting to get good. So, those summer slashes will be coming soon. Yeah, man, picking these 3, I knew you like these 3. And
Yeah,
they are,
definitely.
like you say, they are up there in terms of like Giallo films. They're top tier. So I'm excited. I'm super excited to talk about these.
Quintessential Giallos, in my opinion, both of these directors, Sergio Martino, Umberto Lenzi. What else can you say about these two? Both are very diverse. They have done other films. Like I say, Sergio Martino, what can you say? He's this more stylish, like international Giallo director. It's just really good. He has the same kind of cast of characters, which is really good. Him and Edwidge Fenech, of course. My goodness, what can you say? Her with long hair, I prefer. And she is sexy in both the ones we're going to be talking about. And then, of course, Umberto Lenzi from, oh God, horror, Gialli, to Policio Tesci, which he would do after the film that we're going to be talking about, which is Knife of Ice. And, great actors and actresses in here. Of course, Edwidge Fenech, George Hilton, and, of course, Miss Carol Baker. Great actors and actresses. Just talk a little bit about them, Darren, if you could, please.
Yeah, so you've got Edwidge Fenech. She's like a French Algerian. I think everyone will probably know her who's tuned into this or who tunes in a bit later on. I think personally, probably the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And I mean, like literally, over whatever. You can go back in time. You can go, you can go up to like current time. I can't see anyone beating her looks wise, just completely stunning. Whether she's a great actress, I know a lot of people do say, maybe she's not so much a great actress, but I think she does. When she really does, pull it off, she's pretty good.
Yes,
she's not just
she can be extremely good
for show.
Yeah.
I don't think,
Right, absolutely.
You've got George Hilton, obviously. He starred with her in quite a few, didn't he? Quite a few of these films. He did go on and do The Case of Scorpion's Tail, which Fenech was going to appear in, but she became pregnant. And then
with Anita Strindberg.
Yeah, so she took her place, apparently, Anita Strindberg, which is a great choice as well, anyway. But that film, which I know we're not talking about that film tonight, but that's one of Martino's that I don't like hold in high esteem as the others. I wish I did, Case of Scorpion's Tail, but for some reason it doesn't hit with me. But obviously,
it's definitely different.
Film.
Yeah, it's the jet setter type of a thing. Specifically, the opening with the prop airplane and stuff like that. Another woman makes an appearance in there, Evelyn Stewart. Now, she's in one of these films that we will talk about as well. What a great career she had.
Oh man, you look at her filmography and they're just bangers after bangers. Like she was in obscure stuff like Murder Mansion as well.
Yes.
But yeah, the big comeback film for Fenech was the All the Colors of the Dark with George Hilton. And yeah, they smash it. But we'll come into that. We will come into that.
Yeah, George Hilton, real quick, personally. Like I say, this a couple of the films were from Severin. David Gregory, I mean, does a great job there. It's Freakorama Productions, of course, talking to George Hilton. Him and great actor. Funny, he says his favorite film was the Fulci Western that he did. I forget the name of it right now. It wasn't 3 for the Apocalypse. It was one before that. So, like a lot of these guys.
What's a Massacre Time, was it?
Yeah, Massacre Time. Yeah, he honestly said that was, to tell you the truth, it was like, even though he said with Westerns, you get dirty, you get grungy, and all this other stuff too. He did a Western with Klaus Kinski, and he said, yeah.
He was huge in Westerns. Like,
Yeah, he was a lot of them were Franco Nero, stuff like that. A very good looking man. Him and Finesse are friends, they got into these films kind of together a little bit. That's when some of the lovemaking comes more easily to them, which is pretty cool. I look at that and I'm like, oh, you lucky bastard. You do stuff with her and you do stuff with Anita Strindberg and stuff like that. They have a good history together, definitely.
And of course, Luciano Martino's brother was the producer of these films. And he was actually with Edwidge Finesse at the time. So it must have been strange seeing your girlfriend or wife at the time. I don't know if they were married, actually, but having sex with someone else on screen would have been a bit weird.
George didn't mention that.
Yeah.
And with Carol Baker, I mean, what can you say? I did not know. She was in a film. I guess she made her big film debut. She's from that Hollywood actress mold where, she knew James Dean. She knew these people. I think it's called Baby Doll. My goodness. Showing clips of that film in black and white. She's a seductress in that. She is very good. Talk to us a little bit about her, Darren.
She was apparently blackballed at one point from Hollywood. Yeah. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. Like, I'm sure me and Dirk have probably covered it at some point. But yeah, she was literally blackballed from Hollywood, and then she found like going into like doing these films in Italy was another way of income. And
went there by herself, no manager, no husband, who held her down. Who held her down a lot, in my opinion. And found her second career really in Italy.
I think that's what it was, to do with her manager or whatever. But she went on. She was a big star in the UK. She would turn up in TV episodes. She turns up in one TV episode. I think she's in a wheelchair and she's getting stalked by a killer in the Thriller. It's called Thriller from Brian Clement's TV series. So if anyone gets a chance, that's on YouTube. If you get a chance to check that out. But yeah, absolutely stunning, blonde.
She was in a Andy Warhol film. That was her comeback in the U.S. An Andy Warhol film. I forget the name of it. Stephen Thrower is on one of these discs too. More Stephen Thrower all the time. I have no issue with that. Dude is so good. Of course, I'm a huge fan of Fulci as he is. He's probably the best Fulci chronicler you can find. And he has in one of the Severin discs, Knife of Ice really, talks about her and her career. And it's very cool going into these, careers for these actors and actresses, their beginnings, their humble beginnings. And this industry isn't nice. It's just not nice. It's just different. But it was good for her to find her second kind of career, even though her and Lenzi obviously didn't get along. Lenzi's an interesting cat. All Italian directors are. And, but what can I say about Lenzi? I mean, he's basically the godfather of Policio Tesci's. He has to be, because right after he did Knife of Ice, he did a Policio Tesci with Tomas Milian in it, which is basically, it's part of that box set that I have over there from Severin and stuff like that, too.
He did a lot. Yeah.
Just under a different name. And it's just like, that just took off there. But yeah, these films that we're going to talk about, like each one's unique, but they're just great in general. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. We have Kellel Daly in here. Thank you for joining me, my friend, at Caveman Movies and Music. Thank you very much, Guy, for joining. I hope you're having a good evening or afternoon, wherever you're all at. It's my birthday today. I turned 46 years old, so 1 year older and a lot less hair follicles underneath here. So it works out okay. I could be a butler in an Italian Gothic film, or I could be a roughed up cop in a Policio Tesci. I'd be more than happy to. So it's very good stuff. So we're going to start this off with a bang, really. Sergio Martino's first Giallo, really, and boy, what a way to kick it off. You got beautiful ladies, you have good looking men in here too, and you have a pretty good plot. I can see why you like these films, Darren. This film probably has at least 2 to 3 different endings. Sergio Martino is very good at doing that. I'm like going, oh, come on. You can just twist it. That's The Strange Vice of Mrs. Wardh. 1971 stars Edwidge Finesse as Julie Wardh, George Hilton as George Coro, using the same name, and the very great Ivan Rasimov as Jean, and Alberto de Mendoza, another mainstay in these
Oh yeah,
Sergio
yeah,
Martino films. He's in the Case of the Scorpion's Tail, opposite of Luigi Pustilli, and he's
yeah.
also in The Case of the Bloodstained Butterfly, I believe. He kind of plays these interesting parts, but I know I've seen him in other stuff as well.
Oh, he turns up in a lot. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Very well known face.
like I say, and this was filmed in Spain and Austria. So yeah, Strange Vice of Mrs. Wardh. Go ahead and talk about this film a little bit, Darren. We'll get started.
So this was Martino's first thriller from an Ernesto Gastaldi script based on the
Yeah,
formula for The Sweet Body of Deborah. Because what it was Sergio Martino was like a producer on that, The Sweet Body of Deborah.
yeah, that's the one that Stephen Thrower mentioned as well. Like Lenzi attributed a lot to that film as well. So The Sweet Body of Deborah, that's definitely like a quintessential one, possibly to watch, an outlier for like what was to come in a lot of these films.
Yeah, absolutely. This was like a mix of, because there's a true crime case in Italy called the Fenaroli case in 1930s. And of course, Les Diaboliques, this was kind of based on that as well, because there's a certain scene in the bathroom. And without giving, I'd probably give away a little bit of the twist there, but maybe not. But you can tell that this was heavily influenced by that case and that film as well.
There's two Gialli here that are based off of films of the past, so that's very cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's an Italian Spanish co-production. Like you say, it was filmed in Austria and Cataluna at the time. This got a weird kind of like history to this one in some ways, because they were worried about the censors, and they had to, in some points, they had to film two scenes completely differently, like naked for each and then fully clothed, because Martino was convinced they were going to cut the whole, the whole sex scene with George Hilton and all that. But they
all I can say is God bless her. God bless Enwich Fenich.
Oh,
like I say, with long hair, what a beautiful, very beautiful lady who, yeah. What else can I say? Thank you very much, sweetheart, for
I would say the world is a better fucking place to have fucking Edwidge Fenech in it. Like, that's what
and India Strandberg in all her glory. So,
oh man, all of them,
great stuff.
But there's another, like, you're talking about other films as well. So there's a little bit of Hitchcock. There's Strangers on a Train, in the plot of this. And, Blood and Black Lace, there's certain parts that you can even relate to.
Oh, yes. Another quintessential Giallo, my all-time favorite.
Yeah. And you've got, we'll go through some of the scenes. I don't know how deep you want to go into the film, Chris. Do you want to go through
go ahead there, Darren. Yeah, go ahead there, Darren. I have no issue with that.
So there's a use of an ice cube scene, which I'm jumping the gun a little bit. But this was first mentioned in S.S. Van Dyne's The Kennel Murder Case in 1933. And The Hollow Man, which was like a classic novel back in the day as well. Obviously not the recent
film.
One.
Yeah.
So yeah, some
Basic
good
Instinct.
with this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the initial plot for this, obviously, this was called Next at one point. It was called Blade of the Ripper when it had a VHS release.
Yeah.
Which you can kind of see.
It sounds like a slasher. Now. Yeah, it sounds like a slasher when they say that Blade of the Ripper.
Pretty much is a slasher, I would say. I know it's a Giallo through and through, but I would put it into that kind of slasher type heading as well. But yeah, just to go on to the basic plot, is an ambassador's wife discovers that one of the men in her life, either a husband, her ex-lover, or a current lover, maybe a vicious serial killer who's targeting women with razor blades in Vienna. Music by Nora Orlandi, and I tell you what, I love the theme to this that just keeps playing over and over in different scenes. Man, this is up there, man. I keep saying it with these Giallo scores.
Also, Christina Erolindi is in here. My God. Yeah, playing we'll get to that, playing a cousin. That's all I'm
She
going to say
plays
about that.
Carol, and she's
Definitely.
well known because she was in Torso as well.
Yes, she was in Torso.
She went on
Very,
to
very
go on.
pretty. Yeah.
Very stunning. You know,
Yeah.
it's hard when you get someone that good looking upstaged by a fellow actress, which Finesse just upstages everyone.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, she's up there, man. She's really nice.
The Sergio bros know what they're doing. I mean, just just the way they, you know.
There was a formula to these, and obviously nice looking women was high on the agenda of a lot of these. Argento said, why would you kill an ugly looking woman when you can kill a nice looking woman on screen? You know, that's what people want to see. But yeah, the opening to this is kind of interesting as well. So a man picks up this prostitute in his car. He violently slashes her to death.
Yeah, like going to the airport or something like that. Don't you see a plane going over? Yeah.
But it's coincides. So where he's actually slashing her up, you can hear the noise going, and then it's drowned out by this airplane going over, which is done great, by the way. Great way to start out the film. There's a Sigmund Freud quote as well, which pretty much says, like, anyone and everyone is capable of murder.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very Hitchcockian, like this film. Very Hitchcockian. So you've got Julie Wardh, Edwidge Finesse, and her ambassador husband, Neil. They're arriving in Vienna. We find out that there's a sex maniac on the loose who likes the use of a straight razor. But yeah, I think it's your standard kind of Giallo opening where you've got this mad killer on the loose. But the characters, I like the character development in this as well. But early on, so we get a flashback. So there's a little bit of a backstory with Julie Wardh. There's a flashback of Julie and a man we later known as her ex-lover, Jean.
In the rain. In the
rain, yeah. Oh, it's a great scene. It's a fucking top 20 scene of all time.
One thing Edwidge Finesse can do, she's a great woman in peril. She just is. Like, her and Baker, like, I mean, probably are the best women in peril I've seen in Gialli. They are way, way up there. There's just something about the way they can act and stuff like that. And Edwidge can just do it. She could be that submissive person with fear. Definitely.
She's just I know we're going to keep on about Edwidge, and I don't care. I could talk.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah,
but she's just money, man. Like I would have gone all out to get her in any of my films if I was working around the same time.
She is French too, so I mean they know what the deal is.
French Algerian, which is kind of a strange mix. But so she's in this really abusive relationship, or she was in this really abusive relationship with John. And he was like, you know, he would beat her, he would like rape her, he would do all these kinds of really bad things. And to get out of that, she kind of found this ambassador guy, Neil, and she kind of thought if she ends up with him, it's kind of a safe place, you know, get rid of her ex-lover. And
it's very S&M-like. Think way before 50 Shades. Think way before that. Yeah. It's very S&M type, that pseudo-sexual type stuff here.
But he's very cold towards her husband. He's not really, do you know what I mean? He's an ambassador.
Extremely cold. Yeah, extremely cold to him. Yeah.
So he's always working all the time, you know. He's a very important political figure.
Yep.
And she just kind of is this lost soul, I would say, would you? Like early on in the film?
What I do like it's in this like apartment complex type place. I like places like this in film. Yeah. Roman Polanski's apartment trilogy. I like that horror aspect of that because there's more than one room here and stuff like that too. Yeah. It's that elevator, the old school elevator that goes up and down and all this other stuff too.
It's the isolation, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
You know, in one of those kind of tower blocks or apartment blocks, there's a lot of isolation. And they use that to the full in this film.
Yeah, there's some funny scenes in here too.
Oh yeah.
There's some funny scenes in here.
You've got the lift obviously creates tension. You've got the stairs. You've got the strangers coming up the stairs.
Lady with the dog, like you have.
Yeah. That scene, though, harking back to that scene that Chris just mentioned about her kind of being raped in the rain, but it kind of takes a turn because she ends up kind of enjoying it. Then
she ends up. Ends up just being submissive, basically.
Yeah.
being submissive
letting him, do what he wants. But
What
it's
can you
such a
say about
great scene.
Ivan Rasimov? I mean, what can you say? The dude, great actor. He died way too soon. He was great in
Absolute
Felicio
legend.
Tessis. He could have been, to me, he was like an equivalent to Clint Eastwood. He had that look to him. He had that
Yeah,
look to him. A very good actor, very good character actor almost. He plays that high and mighty person. He exudes that confidence as an actor. I always like that about him.
he can play any role as well because
Yes, he can.
I've said it in the past before, but in Eaten Alive, he plays this Charles Manson style figure. And he pulls that off as well.
Cult leader.
He can play good guy, he can play bad. He's better playing bad guy, obviously, I think.
39 Special Squad, he plays a mad terrorist bomber in the worst possible aspect. He's also in the Tough Ones. He plays. Is it the Tough Ones? Yes, he plays
the Tough Ones. He's in
plays a pimp in that, and that's an extremely good one from Umberto Lenzi.
And that makes my point. Like he can play any role you put to him.
Yeah.
He would have been good in some of these like early American, like Dirty Harry style.
He would have been great in that. He'd been good in 80s action films, to tell you the truth. He had that spark for that.
He's just got that something about him. But early on, we get to see Edwidge's like nudity for the first time, and there's a lot of it in this film.
Taking a shower. Yeah, she's like, no one's here.
yeah. So Jean obviously seems to be stalking her. He's sending her flowers and these cryptic fucking messages. So early on, there's so she ends up in this party, right? So Julie meets George. So George Hilton's character, he's this handsome cousin. He's a cousin of friend Carol, we mentioned earlier, the woman from Torso. But for no reason, it's
like a sex party. Yeah, it's basically almost like a sex party. And it's like those two almost have like a relationship. If he wasn't my cousin, she says that. She wasn't my cousin. I was like, damn, honey. So
there's instant attraction there between the two. But obviously, at this party is weird as well because there's these two women fighting, like play fighting or whatever. And
he likes doing that. He has a way of doing that with these parties in these films, like not Strange Vice, but Your Vice, another Vice.
Exactly. You got
Lizard in a woman's skin. There's funky parties going on in there too, as we all well know. So
and that lizard with a woman's skin. There's parts of this, and definitely All the Colors of the Dark that reminds me of that film. But yeah, just to say, so Jean turns up at the party uninvited. She's not happy, obviously. So she goes to go, and she's like, I don't, want to be associated with Jean anymore. And you've got the bitch slap Neil when he sees Jean, doesn't he, outside? And Jean
and he just smirks at him. Yeah,
he just starts laughing, doesn't he, after he hits him in his face. You've got dream sequences that I mentioned, lizard in a woman's skin. So you've got Jean, he breaks his bottle over Julie and starts carving her up and cutting her up with this fucking J&B bottle, I think it is.
Yeah.
There is some weird fucking scenes, man. Because you see the glass all smash and
they do this glass that falls on her too. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, man. Some of that shit is great, the way it's shot.
Oh yeah.
Like you say, you've got the shower scene as well, which is definitely a nod to Hitchcock's Psycho, I think. So you've got a black glove killer. He uses his straight razor to slash the throat of one of the naked girls from the party. This is the shower scene I was just talking about. So you've got to think Psycho. You've got to think definitely a nod. There's Hitchcock all the way through this, I will say. But he's got his own stamp on it, Martino, isn't he? I wouldn't say it's a complete rip-off of any of the films we just said, but there's elements of them all in there somehow.
It's a film being made by this director. Every director has their own stamp on it, like you say, Darren, and it's a Sergio Martino film when you see kind of stuff like this in them. So that's why I love him so much.
Oh yeah, would you say he's more like? I would say he's more like Argento than he is Lenzi.
He's more extremely like Argento. He's the most like Argento than anybody.
He is.
He's
I think that's
more
why I like him as much.
he's more stylish than Argento.
He is,
With his Gialli.
yeah.
Yeah, he's way more stylish with his.
I would argue that some of his films are even better than Argento's. You know,
Yeah.
I would
No,
put
some
these
are.
two.
No,
The
some
two we're
are.
going to mention tonight, for me, are better than Cat o' Nine Tails, easily. Like, so
His filmography
yeah.
for Giallos is I mean, yeah, we'll get to that at the end.
It's insane. You think he did 5 films in 2 years? Was it?
Yeah.
So he did this. He did Your Voice Is a Lot Room, Case of the Scorpion's Tail.
Yeah.
So he did Torso.
And then later on, he did The Suspicious Death of a Minor as well.
Of a Minor.
That was his last. That was his last.
Well, he did do one called what was it? There's one Scorpion's Tail involved in the one. I'm blanking on title now.
Right, I forget the name.
Like
that was part of a box set that Arrow did. Yeah.
It was a TV
people
film.
are too high on. Yeah.
It is fucking awful. Me and Dirk covered it at one point. Still forgettable. Like,
yeah.
But, so George then he ends up taking Carol and Juliet for dinner. And they've come into like this big inheritance, haven't they? The two cousins, where one of their members of the family have died, and that's what's brought them together. So there's a big, you know, they kind of become rich overnight, if you will. But George, he puts his charms, you know, to try and win Edwidge Finesse's character over.
Yeah, he's kind of infatuated with her and stuff. They go on like a motorcycle ride. He's going to drop her off somewhere. So yeah.
But he had a fascination for motorbikes, mine, Sergio Martino, because he's got a lot of motorbike scenes in his film.
Jet setter. Yeah, that's really kind of like a jet set Gialli director. Yeah.
You think about Your Voice Is a Lot Room. There's like a motorcyclist in there with, you know, Edwidge as well on the back.
That's right.
But, see, it all goes like 180 and comes back. But so you got the motorbike ride, like you say. So as Jean is still in the background, he's still being creepy, he's still kind of following her every move, stalking her, you know. But when she's with George Hilton's character, then they kind of end up in bed, or they kind of end up having sex. But we got kind of a peeping Tom at some point. We don't know who it is. Is it the killer? You know, watching them. And I think like on full view in the window, you can see them having sex on the kind of, is it like a sofa or a settee?
Something like thing? That.
Yeah. It's
stuff that's
on full
been used.
View.
Stuff that was used in another film I'll mention towards the end of this stream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think.
There's a lot of similarities to this in one to these two films that we're going to discuss in one particular film that was made after.
Yeah. So more flowers keep coming there with more notes. The one says, now I know you're trying to get away from me, but your voice is like a room locked from the inside, and only I have the key.
How about that? How about that?
Because a year later, he was to introduce
your voice is a locked room, and only I have the key, right?
Which I think is one of the, not just one of the greatest Gialli ever made. I think it's definitely one of the best titles of the Gialli.
Oh God, yeah, it's the better ending to a Black Cat. Film. Basically.
It is the best like Dirk said, it's his favorite Giallo film. And I can't argue with that.
You can't argue with that. No, not at all.
I would put it close.
Cast and story. Yeah,
I would put it close to Torso, but I mean, so Neil, like, he's neglecting Julie now. Complete neglect. She don't know where to turn to next. You know, she gets this anonymous phone call, blackmailing her over having sex with George, and he wants her to show up and hand over money. Like, some, you know, meet up in some, I don't know if it's like some warehouse or some derelict building or whatever.
In this park.
I know it's a park, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in this park. Yeah.
It's a park. Yeah. So Carol ends up having a bright
I'll say this, shades of Four Flies on Grey Velvet, which I think is one of the, this is what these directors are good with. You take the woman, you leave her alone, and it's almost like a fever dream and a time skip where it's like, it just, yeah. So I always like that. So you kind of know what's coming here a little bit. I'm surprised
But
they went there though.
think four flies. Think there's a few actually. The fifth chord and me
Yeah, the fifth chord. Yeah, that's the one I mean. Yeah.
I
So,
think the bird with the crystal plumage has got similar type
yep.
vibe as well going on. But Carol ends up going in her place because she thinks it could be Jean.
Yeah, so it's like,
Who's
I'll
trying to
go.
get the
I don't
money.
care. Yeah, she's a tough one, man. She's like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it.
And there's a weird scene as well where she openly just baths in front of Julie. And she's like, naked. She just gets up out
Taking a
of the
bubble
bath as if
bath and
it's
all this other
anything.
stuff too. She's like,
Yeah,
eh, whatever. I was like,
yeah, which is a great scene, obviously, being a red-blooded male. But
I'm almost
yeah,
guessing when they're doing takes and stuff like that, Edwidge is looking at her and smiling. He's like, you just upstaged me. You know that, right? She's like, of course I did. It's like,
it's hard to upstage for Edwige, I think.
when you know what you got. I mean, I mean, I'm just like, I hate you. It's like, you know what you got. I
Yeah.
hate you.
Oh yeah. But like you say, you've got the park scene, just the isolation, and you've got the park keeper. He's telling her like, it's time that soon the park's gonna close and all that. But it's like, so you've got the scene delayed with Julie watching motorbike racing on TV.
Yeah.
And Carol, while Carol's waiting in the park to confront this kind of blackmailer. It's like we say, it's beautifully shot. The isolation in the park. You've got the sunset coming down. It kind of gets dark, pretty quite
Yeah.
eerie at times,
It's
doesn't
kind of
it?
like you say, a time skip from day to night like that. But
And of course, you've got the Black Glove Killer strikes again, with Carol. And that's a great scene as well, where he's slashing her with the razor blade, and
yeah,
she's like trying to defend
trying
herself
to
with her
block it off.
hands
Yeah.
up.
He later
Yeah.
used scenes like that in Torso, stuff like that too. He's
Oh
very good.
man,
The way
yeah.
that women defend themselves or try to against that. Yeah, just going up against the arms and the wrists and all that other stuff
One of
too.
the most iconic scenes actually in the film, I think, with her, that image of her just putting her arms up. But so the police turn up. They turn up at John's home, obviously suspecting him, I believe. And he's living with all these kind of animals in cages. He's got chameleons. He's got
Yeah.
bats, I think,
Yes,
hanging
he has a bat.
upside
They all
down.
go in there to
Yeah,
because they show scenes in there before and stuff like that. You see the bat and all that stuff just chilling there. You see like the
right.
pet monkey. You could have those back in the day. I think you could still get those. So yeah, literally
Yeah,
a zoo
yeah.
in there.
It's like a zoo in a fucking apartment building. It's
Yeah,
really weird, and you've got the
a
noises
falcon. I
going
think
on.
he has. I may be
Yeah,
wrong, but
yeah,
yeah, it's some type of badass
like
bird.
a bird of prey or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. So Julie and John then they kind of clash at the police station. She obviously thinks he's doing the killing, thinks he because of all of the way he is in the past,
yeah,
violent and all that. So you've got, and I've mentioned this when we on me and Dirk's channel, but I think this is one of the most iconic scenes ever. So you've got Julie then in the underground car park. What a fucking scene, man!
oh yeah, that comes out of nowhere, and they
Yeah,
do a good
yeah,
job of not seeing what the person looks like.
exactly, yeah,
She
yeah,
like handed to Edwidge. Holy shit! So she goes literally almost jumps in between the two cars, just to try to get away from this person. Yeah,
yeah.
that's like crazy.
And you've got the whole thing with the lift as well, where you've got
Yep.
the jump scene where the fucking hand comes into the lift.
Yeah.
And one of the best jump scenes you'll see in a Giallo film, I think. Yeah, I don't know what it is. That scene always stands out every time I see this film. But there's tons. There's more to come as well. Like you say, you've got 5 or 6
Yeah, dude.
proper
It's
fucking
like
standout scenes that would look not out of place in any Argento or Fulci Giallo to come. But yeah, so like you said, I think I will actually go as far as to say, and I said on our podcast, that it is probably Martino's one of his best scenes ever that he's
yeah.
directed. And there's a few in Your Voice as well that I'll put up with that. Neil and Julie then they go to confront John at his house, which is all in complete darkness. Like you say, he's got birds of prey, fucking lizards, bats, the lot. But they find him dead in the bath.
Yeah, they find him dead in the bath. It's all red in the
Yeah.
water and stuff like that too.
where they think
it's
he's committed suicide, maybe cut his
because
own
it's all
wrist.
dark in there and stuff like that too. No light. That's when the bat kind of flies in front of them and stuff like that. Or they see it. I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
comes out of nowhere.
It is really kind of chilling scene, but that's what Martino does. He throws you with some of these, like definitely in all the colors as well, where people
That's
come
where I
back to
think that's the
life.
scene where
And
she gets like traumatized, and I think she faints. I think she does when
she does,
her
yeah, yeah,
husband like
yeah,
carries her out of the place.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's another dream sequence as well, but as he carries her out, I think to the car, there's flowers left and another note.
Right as
And
she
they're
puts
kind
it,
of
yeah, she goes into the car. He sees
yeah,
it. I
yeah.
don't think he shows it to her.
I think he just throws it down so she
Yeah, he just
can't see
throws
to
it
try and
down.
keep it.
Yeah.
Um, and again, knowing, I mean, are you gonna do you want to do the reveals at the end, or do you want to just let the people kind of not give it away?
Let's not give it
It's up
away,
to
to
you.
tell you the truth. Let's not give it
Okay,
away.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, so I'm glad you said that then, because I was gonna give an important part away. But
Right.
so we got another dream sequence. So there's quite a few dream sequences in all of Martino's films. You've got Carol laughing, you've got John kind of bitch slapping her, and it includes George as well in kind of what she's having all these
That's what
visions of
Dirk
the
kind of
three of them.
does in his one of his
Yeah,
intros, actually. That's the other film and stuff like that
it
too.
is. Yeah,
Power to
yeah,
Kill.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they find this photo that seems to like eliminate John as well. So we kind of see an image of the killer, and it's obviously not John. So we got that going on. It does get kind of really confusing at one point, because like you say, people come back to life who shouldn't,
It's
and
a
like
WTF.
yeah,
The
oh yeah, yeah,
the
oh yeah,
killer, the sex maniac, goes to a random woman's house, I think. She's talking on the phone. Is that the one where she's talking on the phone? Or I think it's another one. And
you're
there's
talking
that,
about the woman who works on the planes. She's like a
yeah, yeah, the
hostess.
stewardess. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
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 calling her friend saying, "Yeah, I'll be available. Like, I'm just gonna chill out tonight," or something like that.
yeah. So like Judy and George, then they plan to get away. They want to go get away to Spain. Like you say, that girl, she gets attacked by the sex maniac,
She
but
leaves a
she
note for her
turns the
husband.
fucking tables, doesn't
Yeah,
she? This
yeah, she
girl
does.
on
She
the
turns
killer.
the table on him, and it's like an accidental stabbing, right? Because he goes up there, and I think, and he tries to get her and stuff like that. She fights back,
Yeah,
right? So she fights back and ends up killing him instead.
and he
And
does the oh,
that's a mainstay. That's a mainstay for this director Giallo. This is a mainstay. You get stuff like this, which you would get later on. This was his first. This was Sergio Martino's first, where he
well, there's a
does this.
similar plot with Your
Where,
Vice is a Lot Room, where
yeah,
you've
it's a
got this.
mind fuck, basically. Let's just say what it is. It's a
Yeah,
WTF
yeah.
moment. I'm like, going, that's not
So
fair. That's not fair. You can't do that. What the hell are you doing? If you don't know, I'm like, of course, it's a Sergio Martino film. Of course, I'm going to get this, but you don't know. You think you're not going to get it, but then you get it.
right, so we think at this point now, as the viewer, that it's case done. The killer who's played by Bruno Carrazzi. He's a really well known kind of, was in all like Lenzi's Pisteschi films. He
Okay.
always plays the thug or the killer or what have you.
He did look familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, once you dip into that set with Lenzi, you'll know
Right.
him.
But
But like any good Martino film, Argento film, it's not what it seems. You think everything's sorted, but it's not. He was the killer, but there's a line later on in the film, without giving too much away, saying the best way to get rid of someone is while there's a homicidal maniac on the loose.
On the loose.
And
yeah.
He does that a lot, Martino, in his films.
Yes,
it's
he
exactly
does.
the same plot. Like I said,
Before she goes off, because that's when George tells her, tells Julie, let's just get out of here. It'll be better for you. Let's go to, where do they go to?
They go to Spain.
They go to Spain. Leaves
Yeah.
a note for her husband saying it's better this way. Basically, almost like filing for a divorce type of a thing and stuff like that. Like, thank you for all you've done and all this other stuff too, but I'm kind of leaving. And what a great actor he was. Mendoza as Neil Wardh. He's an actor that plays that part, like as you almost think he's like a side wheel, like.
Yeah. He
But
always
he's
plays a
good at
double-edged
playing
character.
that.
Yeah.
He's good at
Yeah.
playing that character. He's a good actor. So he's good at playing that man who you don't know what's going on here with that
Right. He's
stuff like that.
perfect for the
So
role.
yeah,
So while she's in Spain, she's still getting these like flowers. I think someone stopped a young boy and tells her to give her flowers and a card.
yeah. She
So
finds
she
out
gets
she's
freed.
being watched. There's a trippy good
Yeah.
scene where kind of near this beach area and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a
Spain is
superb scene.
gorgeous. And one thing about Martino, he does great locations. He's great. I mean, great cinematographer. What can you say about him? And and just somebody's like watching her and all this other stuff too. So she starts freaking out. Stuff seems to disappear.
Someone fires. Is it like a gun or a harpoon? I'm not even sure what it is, but they fire
something
and
that
just
misses
miss
her.
Yeah. And she's running away. She's obviously in a panic. That's another great scene to see. She's all day long in this film. But yeah, like you say, she's almost killed at the beach. Julie has a flashback to John's death then, and she faints. The doctor says she's in like a state of shock, and to contact like another doctor, like a neurologist or what have you. So there seems to be like blood coming from the radiator at one point.
Right. She looks at it. This is when you start to realize, is she imagining this? Is this really going on? It's psychotic woman, right? It's like literally like a descent into madness. That's what's good about Edwidge here. She's a very good actress. I don't care what you say. She's probably one of the best, Giallo women in peril I've ever seen. Like, just really the way she acts, she is damn good in here.
She plays crazy quite well because
she plays crazy very well.
Yeah, too well. But of course, you've got the fucking iconic ice cube scene, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
Like, so John, is he still alive? Or he's still alive, I should say, and he drugs her. We find out that obviously he must have faked his own death. But what he does is he puts her in this room and he turns the gas on. He seals all the windows. It's just such a great scene where he puts
it reminds me of Autopsy with the ending of that, with what what's his name does to Mimsy Farmer and her, you can say like boyfriend and stuff like that.
Ray Lovelock,
Ray Lovelock. That whole setup and what he's doing there, it's a slow burn, but it's very sadistic and it's very purposeful what they plan to do. And Ivan Rassimov does a great job as doing that. He just does. He just has that villain quality to him.
He's amazing in this. But just to set everyone up, so he puts an ice cube on this lock. So as he leaves the actual room, the ice cube will just melt, and it looks like she's done it herself, and she's it'll close over.
It'll close
over. What
a
fucking genius!
You can't get better than that.
Yeah, I spoke to Ernesto Castaldi, who's still alive, believe it or not, and he's 90 early 90s. But and he was talking to me about that scene when Torso, when the key from the door goes onto the floor and the killer puts it on.
That's such a good cohabitation horror of a scene.
Yeah,
it's
the newspaper,
so good.
She pulls it through. And he said, and I think he might have been reverted into this one as well, but he said his brother-in-law or his brother had something similar happen to him, and that's why he got the inspiration for doing the two scenes, which is great, man. Obviously, one of the best scenes ever. You got the use of like a heartbeat as well over the same track, which is done to good effect.
I love that. I love that. Yes, definitely.
Oh man, just little touches like that.
That freaks me out. The sound of my own heart. The sound of my own heartbeat freaks me out. I don't
Argento
like
does
that.
A lot.
It's very high anxiety. Very high anxiety. I'm like, F no.
Like
no
a palpitation type thing, isn't it?
There's a tension to
full
it.
Effect, man.
Yeah, there's a tension. Think Sorcerer. There's a tension to
that. So I got to tread carefully there, mine, because we're not going to give it away.
Yeah.
So The police tell Mr. Wardh and George that Julie has died. You know, in this kind of they can't revive her and all that. And then I can't really say too much what happens after then. I think people will have
Yeah,
to kind of watch.
yeah.
But
There's a state
needless to say,
that she
there's
died
lots of
because
twists.
yeah,
Go on,
lots of
sorry, Jim.
twists and turns. A lot of, like you say, films like this, like harken back to films like Dario Argento's opera, where there's 2 to 3 to 4 different endings. Sergio
Yeah.
Martino's known for doing these multiple endings, and to me, it took me aback, and I'm like, this is a true Giallo right here. This is probably his best.
Oh, okay. I was going to
Gialli.
ask
I
you. I
can't
was going
believe
to
I'm
ask you that.
saying that. I can't believe I'm saying that because I put Torso as my number 4 all timer. Gialli. This surpasses that. This
I'm glad to
surpasses
hear
that.
you
I don't
say that.
believe it because Torso's more of a slasher than it is a Gialli. I mean, Gastaldi, Stephen Thrower, all these people, Troy Howarth say this is Torso is basically a proto slasher. It is. It's
It
what
is.
was
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
come at that time for films like this.
This
I'll
is
give you.
more like this is an imitation. It seems bad to say imitation, but this is more of a Dario Argento style Bird with the Crystal
Yes, it is.
Plumage
Yes, it is.
type film.
It was done at the peak of Giallo, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The first few years of the 70s, probably 1970 to 73.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
There you go, and like you say, banger after banger. I'm going to give my.
This can hold its own against any of the top
Oh
Gialli
yeah.
of the time. I wouldn't say it's my favorite of Martino's, but it's fucking up there. I will say that.
So I'll give this one. Yeah, I'll give this one a solid 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10. This is top tier Gialli for me. This is highly rewatchable. A lot of his films are highly rewatchable. This is a great set. Wait for a sale for this one. You could probably get this one for cheap. This is a great Blu-ray. This has tons of special features.
Yeah, go with this one as well because the UK releases.
I've seen interviews with Ernesto Gastaldi. Almost all the Vinegar Syndrome stuff I have has interviews with Ernesto Gastaldi. A lot of Severance stuff has interviews with Ernesto Gastaldi. If you want a good Ernesto Gastaldi one, get the Horrible Dr. Hitchcock. That has the longest interview with him where he goes through everything. He goes through literally all of his filmography, like where he started from, where he goes. It's insane. It's like 40 minutes or something like that. I know.
Oh shit!
Dude
I'll
likes
have to
to
get
talk.
that now. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, just great stuff in the back. So yeah, this is a good. This is definitely a good one. Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, that's okay.
About that.
I'm with you. I think this is a high, like 8.5 at least. Me,
nice.
I always go back and I always say this. It's probably a 9 if I'm honest. Yeah, it's not my favorite Martino, but it's fucking damn sure near the top.
Very good.
In terms of like this made 612 million lira.
Nice.
It was the third highest Giallo film of the 70-71 season. That's not including Dario's films. So yeah, this is held in high regard, I think, and what a way to open your kind of Giallo account.
Yeah.
This
is not quintessential. It's a quintessential Giallo film. If you wanted to pick a quintessential Giallo from each director, this would be it. You know,
if you want Black Glove Killer, tick. If you want a great woman in peril, tick. You know, it's
beautiful
all
ladies, handsome men. I mean, come on now.
Some great kill scenes. It's all there. Music, highly recommended. If you've not seen this and you're intrigued, like I think the twist as well. Yeah. I didn't see the twist coming the first time I saw it, so it will have you, I think.
These are streaming on Tubi, though. If you want to see these, they are streaming on Tubi. A lot of Giallo. It's a great free streaming platform. Just type in Giallo. You will get everything from. You'll get a lot which you've never really heard of, to tell you the truth. It's definitely a good one. Highly recommended, of course, and that's The Strange Vice of Mrs. Wardh.
I've got a few other little things just before we finish, right?
No, go right ahead.
Laura Orlandi's score reprises the same tune for Double Face, Riccardo Freda. the Klaus Kinski film.
Yeah, the Klaus Kinski one. Yeah,
so
I need to
there's
get
a
that
little
one.
bit like
Yeah.
the music's kind of redone. Martino wasn't convinced of casting Edwidge Finesse at the time. He
Right.
was thinking about her because she was well known for comedies.
Yeah, sex
and he was
comedies. Yeah.
thinking her physicality may not have been suited for a woman in peril, which he admitted he was completely wrong. He made the right decision after. But yeah, there's just a couple of little things I want to mention.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Okay, so we're just going to go to the next one here.
Yeah.
Talking about a tit for tat. This one, I think Edwidge is better in this one. I think this is her best performance. Boy, if you want horror and if you want a thing I love in horror films, which is cults, there's something about that. We're talking about another good one, the same cast of characters. We got George Hilton, Edwidge Finesse, and Susan Scott. My goodness. And we're talking about all the colors of the dark. That's a sweet ass picture right there. That's a sweet ass Blu-ray
brilliant
film.
Cover art.
Yeah, from 1972, aka They're Coming to Get You. That's the poster that you see there in the lower left. And it stars, directed, of course, by Sergio Martino. Writers, of course, again, we have writers, of course, we have again Ernesto Gastaldi with the screenplay. The score by Bruno Nicolai. Very good score here.
Amazing.
Bruno's a very good person. So we have the typical cast of characters here. We have George Hilton as Richard. We have Edwidge Finesse as Jane. We have the very great, again, Ivan Rasimov as Mark. It comes to that scene with the knife and the slaps.
Yeah. The one
Nieves Navarro, my goodness, as Barbara. And then we have Marina Malfatti as Mary. And
amazing actress as well. Yeah.
Okay, Darren, go ahead and send us some.
Right. So this was also called, as well as They're Coming to Get You, like Chris just said, Day of the Maniac. Music by Bruno Nicolai, again, like you say, is fucking amazing. In terms of like the cast that Chris just mentioned, there's another guy, Dr. Burton, who's played by a guy called George Regalde.
Yeah.
And he was kind of very well-known actor. Case of the Bloody Iris is probably one of his best.
Yeah, George Hilton mentioned him.
He plays the fucking priest in Eyeball.
Like, yes, he does. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Nice. Yeah.
I will say, I think I like this one a little bit more than Strange Vice, but there's not much in it. This I've always thought is just so unique as kind of a black magic style Giallo. Is just, you don't see that so many times, you know?
Edwidge Finesse, Dirk may have issue with this. I think she's almost the second coming of Barbara Steele. She looks just like her a little bit with the makeup and the hair. She is sexy as hell in this. She's sensual as hell in this. And like I said, I love her with her long hair. I just do. It just works for her and stuff like that. This is her best performance. She plays just like batshit crazy. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like a lot of stuff here and stuff like that. And there's some scenes we're going to get to. She can have wet dreams on this chick. So, I mean,
I was going to say,
very good.
Yeah, it's unfair. Like sometimes, because we're like saying about how good looking she is and all, and sometimes her acting ability gets kind of, overlooked.
Nieves Navarro and Marina Malfatti, my God.
Well,
I mean, those two in general.
Yeah, known as Susan Scott from the
Susan Scott
Wardh films. She turns up in a lot as well. Like what a cast! Like this is superb. So the opening to this, we hear all these like animal noises in this forest, and it kind of starts to get dark. It opens with like a nightmare sequence, which this, I think I've said before, but this reminds me of a lizard with a woman's skin, the opening. So you've got
a little bit like Rosemary's Baby. Because there's a pregnant woman in here. Yeah. Huge influence.
So this scene is bizarre, so I'm trying to set it up, right? So there's this woman naked on this bed, screaming, like there's a pregnant woman on a gynecologist table. You've got Ivan Rasimov with his like bright blue fucking eyes.
Yeah, bright blue eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a knife. There's an old man dressed as like a little fucking girl, which is
Yeah.
weird, with a blonde fucking wig. I know
It's
I've
straight up
mentioned
horror.
that. Yeah, yeah. It is very fucking trippy, man. But
It's very grindhouse. Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
this
like I drink your blood type grindhouse. Like it
there's a
seems.
payoff though, I think, with
Oh, there's a
this
huge
one.
payoff.
There's a
Yeah.
fucking huge payoff of all the trippy scenes. Um, but while she's having this kind of nightmare vision or what have you, and then at the end of this sequence, we see a car go into a tree, and then it kind of stops dead, and she's like, she wakes up. So we realize then she's having this dream. She's very confused. Um, Her partner comes in and catches her like fully fucking clothed, having a shower.
Yeah.
So he's kind of concerned that is she mentally right, you know? Um, so like we get naked Edwige as well straight away. I don't think that's any kind of in both films we get naked Edwige early
This
on.
one, she's in like a gown. She just decides to get up and take a shower in this
Yeah,
nice, beautiful
but
white gown
you
in
can
the
see it see
shower.
through.
Yeah, I
It's
can see
completely
through it.
see
Yeah,
through.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
But yeah, so while she's having sex, then she sees her dream again. But then someone's getting stabbed. She's not sure, you know, what's going on. Um, so Jane, then she's recently had this car accident. We found out that she's kind of lost the baby.
Oh,
This
yeah,
and all the trauma of it causes her to have a mental breakdown. You got Barbara, her sister, turns up then, Susan Scott, aka Neve Navarro. And she wants her to be seen by this psychiatrist, but her husband Richard doesn't want that. You know, he
yeah.
kind of wants to just
He's kind of shady about it.
self-medicate her himself and keep control of her and all this. But yeah, when the same track kicks into this one, it's fucking superb. Like,
There's an interesting relationship between Mark and Barbara too. Like when he
yeah,
finds out
yeah.
that she's moved into the same apartment complex as they have and stuff like that, asked, well, what are you doing here? Why are you here? So there's something kind of going on there. You think there's an attraction between the two.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But Jane goes to see Dr. Burton then, and she sees this man with piercing blue eyes that she thinks from her dreams is in like the waiting room, and
Yeah,
he's watching. She's kind of freaked
like
out
the
by it.
secretary. They
Yeah,
go in there
yeah.
and stuff like that. Said, was there a man there and stuff like that too? Says there's nobody here. But that's when the secretary mentioned, yeah, there was somebody here, but not like anymore.
But he's
And
kind of left.
yeah, he's left.
We see another dream sequence with the, like you say, the man stabbing a woman in the bed. We find out that what she saw, this vision of what she saw was actually her mother getting murdered when she was younger. And it's kind of like I had to read up on that because it doesn't spell that completely out for you,
No,
really,
it
does it?
doesn't.
At
No,
one
no, no,
point.
no, no, no.
But like when you look into it, you find out that it's a vision of her mother
A lot of
getting
stuff that
killed.
comes to light that I said I don't remember that. They don't kind of explain that.
I don't think
It's
they
like
do. No, no. I
no,
think I had to read up on that one.
yeah,
But the London setting I've mentioned before on me and Dirk's channel, I fucking love that whole like when you're by the River Thames. The way this depicts London in the early 1970s is absolutely fucking superb. You see her in this tube station as well, a well-known like London underground tube station called Aldwych, which I've
yeah.
actually been on. I've actually lucky
Okay,
enough I've been on all them. Yeah,
nice.
yeah, a few times. But yeah, the way it just captures that vibe of early 70s London.
There's someone
Jane,
in
you
the
see,
chat real quick. I would just want to
yeah,
say
yeah,
hi to
go
him.
for it, man. Go for it.
Scottish geek guy, very cool dude.
What's up,
So
man? Yeah.
yeah, check out his channel and stuff like that too. He does reviews on practically everything and stuff like that too. So very cool. He has a cool steelbook collection and stuff that he'll put up on Instagram. So very cool to see you in here. Thank you very much for dropping in, saying hi. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Just talking
Nice.
good shit right here.
Yeah. So Jane then she sees this guy with the blue eyes on the underground. While she's walking along the River Thames as well. She kind of
Yeah.
like just fucking bumps into him. You've got the thing with Marina Malfatti as well. She plays Mary. Jane meets up with this woman, Mary.
Yeah, she's part of the apartments too, I think, and stuff like that.
She doesn't know her. They kind of get talking, and she invites her up to her apartment to have a cup of tea. Completely
Marina,
British
very
thing.
beautiful lady. Beautiful lady.
Man.
Wow. Beautiful lady.
Very underrated actress, Malfatti.
I can say I'm not much for blondes. That's okay. I can forgo this for her. I mean, she's gorgeous.
Oh man, she is. Yeah. So while she's having tea, you know, Jane tells her that this maniac is following her. They strike up this really nice friendship. And then out of the blue, she gets a call from a solicitor. And he just tells Jane to like meet me at a certain place in my office. Doesn't give her no details. That solicitor is actually played by a guy called Luciano Pigozzi, who's in Blood and Black Lace. He turns up in a lot of these giallos too.
Okay.
So there's a bit of mystery behind that. Why, you know, is he calling her to the office, which we will find out. We got that suspenseful scene then in which Jane, she thinks the killer's walking up the stairs in the apartment. And then she kind of gets into the lift.
It's like she's paranoid, like, because nobody's there, but she hears things, and she's thinking
stuff. He does that a lot,
there.
Martino, doesn't he? He got people creeping upstairs.
It's almost like she's getting premonitions before stuff actually happens. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And we find out at the last minute that it's not the same man. It's a completely
not what you think it
man.
Is. Yeah.
Yeah. So Richard, it's implied that he's like having an affair with Barbara. Would you say? Well, it certainly gives you that.
No, it gives you that vibe, like maybe something was going on. Like I said, Edwidge is her character as Jane is alone quite a bit in here.
She is, yeah.
She seems to be someone who's pulling her back and forth. You know, like do this, do that. Yeah, so.
And you can see the connection, I suppose, with Strange Boys and Mrs. Wardh. Not just the Finetch connection, but you know, she's playing very much isolated characters.
Yeah.
So we get Jane and Mary then. They go for a walk in London. I think it's Hyde Park. And she tells Jane then about this kind of, you know, you're going through this breakdown, but I can kind of help you if you
I can help you with that.
Mass. As you do. You fucking say, do you want to come to the Black Mass with me? And
Black Mass.
And all this shit, which is what I love about this film. It's just so fucking bizarre.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Yeah.
As well. She actually convinces her and she agrees to go. So whilst going to see this solicitor, the maniac chases her. She sees this dead animal, is it a goat's head or something, falling down the stairs?
Yes, she sees a goat head. Yeah, it's like at the corner of the stairs. I don't know if it falls or not. Yeah, it actually does.
Yeah, it falls.
But you kind of see it's like a mini, we've seen stuff like that in Giallos before, but yeah.
So that's the symbol of the devil, obviously. So the goat's head. So they go to this sect, and that's where you get this music kind of kicks in.
Yeah, the cult leader. I didn't get his name down, the actor that played him, but I mean.
Yeah, I've got that. Hang on. Yeah, I've got that somewhere. So the guy is Julian Ugat, and he plays J.P. McBrien, is the actual guy of this cult leader. And
it's like a fox. Doesn't he have like a fox, or it's a fox or something?
It's a fox. It is.
Yeah, it turns it around and blood for the blood god. He slices his throat. Then he turns it right. Yeah, and it's like he's squeezing it, and all this other stuff.
And it does look real. I hope
it does look real. Yeah, I hope not either. I'm not going, oh. Yeah.
But the whole of this sect, they sacrifice this fox. They drink its blood. And they're all carrying this fucking sign with the eye. Yeah. And it's on a certain part. So
they have her drink it too. Yeah, they have her because she's like in the circle, right? She's the one in the center of the circle.
Yeah, they force her to drink it, and then they pretty much have sex with her, a lot of different men. And she's, freaked out at first, but then
for some weird reason, this reminds me of Suspiria a little bit. I don't know. It's like a fever dreamish type of scene, the way they do it, It's like
got a lot of
that with Grindhouse, with a lot of the scenes and stuff, with the music playing, the way he's kind of thrusting, her. Of course, Mary gets in on it. All good there. That's when it's all good between her and her husband. That's when it's all good between her and her husband, boy. It's like,
right.
okay, yeah.
So that's kind of creepy and disturbing scene as well with the black mass.
Yeah.
It really is. But then we jump to her and Richard finishing sets. Again, we got naked Edwidge.
She's really good in that scene. I'm sorry. She looks like she's having fun with that. And since they both know each other anyway in real life, you know, they've done stuff like this previously. So it's like, yeah, there's no issue kind of doing this. And he's all like, dang, in so many aspects. I guess you're a better now or whatever like that.
I mean, he's getting paid to do this, which is fucking...
Yeah, he's getting paid. Yeah.
Blows my mind. There's a great scene as well. So she sees the maniac again while she's out having a meal with Richard. But there's a great scene where Martino kind of does an Argento style shot where he's looking over the River Thames and then he kind of zooms in on this building and goes through the window.
Right. Yeah.
Which I found like
that's right, because he leaves because he has to take a phone call or something like that.
Yeah. And she ends up being really flustered and running away and kind of, I think she ends up back at her apartment.
Yeah, she ends up going all the way back there.
And of course, she sees this black magic book on like the coffee table or, you know, on the table in the apartment.
That's when Mark shows up.
We're starting to think, could Richard be a part of all this now, you know? Because, you know, he's obviously bought this black magic book.
Yeah, that's when like Richard shows up and he says, because he was like doing his research or something on it, I think.
Didn't he come across it in the secondhand bookstore or something like that?
Yeah. Because what position does he have in here? What's his job? I forget. Or do they?
Oh, Richard. I'm trying to think now, actually. Yeah.
I know he's not like a diplomat, but it's some type of job where he's kind of constantly on the go. Because like you said, he's just doing that for research. You know, his book's like, oh, you know what? Because she's so she's not ambiguous whatsoever. You know, she's like hiding something. It's like what, you know, she just, you know, just gives it to him. She's like, yeah, I'm just doing research and stuff like that, and intrigues me. You know.
Oh yeah. So these like black mass ceremonies keep getting more and more bizarre. Jane is like literally forced to kill Mary at one point. Or she's holding the knife, and I think Mary kind of just jumps onto the knife.
Yeah, it's a ceremony, and they say it's time to set her free or something like that. The cult leader says that it's time to set her free and stuff like that from or whatever like that. It's pretty twisted. It's specifically what you find out later. You know,
it is completely fucked up because I think she wakes up in a field or something as well.
Yeah,
like she the last thing she can remember is obviously Mary, you know, on the knife going in. But the maniac kind of takes her back to this big house where, you know, I think this was obviously a big place in London. I've got it in my notes I'll come on to later, the actual name of this place, kind of a famous place.
Countryside, kind of like that. So it has that gothic setting to it, which I like a lot.
Yeah, and we find out that Mary had to like sacrifice herself pretty much to set Jane free.
Yeah, for the cause.
Yeah. You got the dog attack on Jane as well as she's going up to the house, and that looks kind of real as well.
It does. Really well. Yeah, that was a trip.
Yeah. So Jane wakes up again now, and she's got this fucking eye symbol on her arm. I think it is. She goes to see. Yeah, that's right. So she goes to see Mary. But she doesn't live there anymore.
Yeah, it's this other woman. She goes in there and stuff like that.
Completely fucking random woman who says,
like, "Are you okay? Do you need me to call anybody?" No, I'm fine. She just leaves.
So she's wondering now whether Mary's still alive, dead, or
if it's real or not.
Yeah, of course.
Cohabitation horror, right? It's insulation horror, right? Where it's like, wait a minute, you know.
She literally doesn't know whether these dreams are real, whether she's hallucinating or anything. She phones Dr. Burton then at this point, thinking the maniac's following her again. He's in her apartment. One of the best scenes in the film, you've got this really cool shot of Ivan Razumov's character coming up to her and repeatedly like with a knife.
Step back and forth, there, like that. I was like, oh, that's where that came from.
Yeah, Dirk's used that one a few times.
For an hour to kill. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great scene. Jane tells Dr. Burton then that she thinks she's killed Mary. He kind of like says, "Oh no, this is all in your head," type thing.
Right.
So Richard and Barbara, then they kind of, that's where we get the vibe where it's something going on between them, and they're trying to find out where Jane is because Jane's nowhere to be seen. You got the same track again that kicks in. It's kind of really reminds me of fucking Bird with Crystal Plumage at times, with the la la la, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, even with
Totally.
Madhouse, where you
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
the beginning,
yeah.
da 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 da. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so
Oh,
freaky.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. One of the creepiest scenes in the film is where we see this old couple, and they look like they're awake at the like breakfast table. They look like they're
Right.
reading a
He takes them
paper.
to this couple to keep, say
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
her
Sorry,
safe and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Up to the morning and stuff. There's some good people I know. It's like, and you
Yeah,
think they're shady. You think they're shady people. You automatically, because the way they look and stuff like that, they just let her in. Yeah, come into the house, but then you see the look on their faces. Like, it's
yeah.
really weird. And
Dr. Burton like knows these couple obviously,
yeah, he
and
knows them. Yeah.
she kind of, they do him a favor by taking her in, like you say, for one night. But then when she wakes up the next morning, she sees them at this breakfast table, and they
Yeah.
look to be alive, which is even more
Right.
creepier, you know. But
Well,
then when she
before
gets
that, as she
closer,
goes into the house, you see Mark, Ivan
oh yeah,
Rasimov's
yeah,
character,
yeah,
behind
Razumov,
the tree.
he's
Behind the
stalking her at
tree,
this point still. Yeah,
those baby blue steel, eyes of ice blue. You know.
yeah, 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 absolutely, and he's still stalking her at this point.
That is
But
a good scene there. There's the cohabitation horror again, where it's just in the kitchen. It's like looks like the man's reading the paper. No, he's dead. Other woman, her head just goes on the table.
yeah, it's kind of
Like that.
moves her, and then yeah,
Yeah.
just fucking
Oh, that's
goes
so
down.
good.
So Jane rings Dr. Burton then, but he doesn't seem that bothered by it, and he thinks again it's all in her head. And
She tries to open the door. She tries to open the door, but the door's
right,
like locked or something like that until the door
yeah,
opens. Yeah, and
yeah,
that's where
yeah,
you get Mark's character, and he kind of says, you belong to us now. You're one with us, basically.
pretty much,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
we're in
yeah.
control now. All this other stuff too. It's really good.
It's a great, and again, I don't know how far we're going to go with this, but Richard follows Dr. Burton, and then so Razumov's character then tells Jane that the knife that killed Mary was the one that killed her mother. So yeah, there is a link with her mother. That's when we find out. And he tells Jane there she belongs, like we say, she belongs to him and all this. But the mother, we find out, was part of the sect at one point. She was part of all this black magic ritual, which
Yeah.
is fucking kind of blows my mind when you think about it. So Jane finds Dr. Burton then, and he's dead in the car.
Yeah.
So all this is kind of coming all at once as well, and it's kind of fucking
It's crazy.
action-packed at this point, I think. But there's a real kind of autumn feel to the film. It's obviously been shot at autumn. You can see the leaves on the trees.
There's a scene where Richard
falling.
goes into the apartment. That's where the lady with the dog comes out, and they kind of say some like sexual comments with each other or something like that too. It's like, I think she asks if he's single or something like that, and he's like, "No, I'm not," or something like that.
And she implies that he's crazy or something, like everyone's crazy or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some great, cool shots in this. So you've got like again, I don't even know whether I should be saying this. Maybe I shouldn't. But we're coming up to like kind of
we could just go up to that one part where you believe we could stop and like leave it to the people's imagination here, because like I say, this is another film that has at least two. This has two different endings. Again, I mean, what can you say about it? It's pretty good.
So I think we can say this then. So Richard kills the maniac just as he tries to kill Jane. Razumov's character dies, and we see these like blood drops. Implies that it's kind of really cleverly done. Like his eye is crying with the symbol.
Yeah.
Martino lingers on that shot as well, and it's fucking superb.
Oh yeah, it's terrific.
It is superb.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how far we're gonna go.
We can go. I can just say this for like what the ending is.
Go as far as you want to go. Yeah.
So people are not what they what they seem for here. Expect a twist here.
Right.
Expect two twists in here. It's implied that the Mary character, the police find out about these people that were part of this cult. Mary was a heroin addict. She was a drug addict. She was looking for a fix. So this cult used her. These cult used these people to do their bidding. A lot of stuff comes to light. A lot of people are undercover here and stuff. It comes up to an elevator scene where her husband Richard is going up the elevator and stuff like that, and she sees a scene that goes like 3 times over.
Of course, she's seen this all
tense.
before. Yeah.
Basically, she tells him, "I've seen you get killed. I've seen you die. Don't do this." It's a very good scene. It ends with a great climax. To my opinion, it's a typical Giallo ending to a film. That's why I'd rank this a little bit lower between the two films, but it's a good one anyway. This is another great release by Severin. This had to have been a double pack at one time, maybe in a box that it came in. Kind of
it
like
was with a documentary. Yeah.
Yeah, like what what the Red Queen kills 7 times and that other film Evelyn came out of the great, kind of like a set like that, I think.
I think they sold it with All the Colors of Giallo, which is like a documentary.
Nice.
Think of the ending without, I'm not going to give too much away, but the ending, think of something like Delirium from 1972, and you'll kind of get
absolutely
kind of get a feel.
With Mickey Hargitay. So this is a great release by Severin. This is a good one. I give this a good 8 out of 10 as well. This is Edwidge Fennish's best performance in my opinion. I really like her in here. I've seen a good amount of her in these films and stuff like that. She's sexy in hell in this. It's very good. It's more horror than it is Giallo. I like that because Sergio Martino's done horror before. Like I say, we get Torso later and stuff like that. But what can you say about this? So this was a good one. Definitely All the Colors gives 8 out of 10 again for me. So yeah, this is a banger.
This is another like 8.5/9. I think, I do slightly favor this one over Strange Vice, but it's like saying who your favorite kid is. Really, I like them all, to be honest. The aspect of the whole, like you say, is not just a complete 8/8 Giallo. It's got all this black magic going on. It makes it unique, man. I think it's one of the best fucking Giallo films ever made. I really do.
This is the one that has the talk with it has a Color of My Nightmare interview with Sergio Martino, of course. Last of the Mohicans interview with screenwriter Ernesto Gastaldi. Giallo is the Color interview with actor George Hilton and Italian horror expert Antonio Tentori. Definitely, that's worth it for this disc right here. Is listening to those because they kind of talk side by side with each other. George Hilton, what a career. Mentioning the films that he was in, which I'm going to mention right here. So first off, this film right here is very similar to a film that was done a year later, which is this right here, A Case of the Bloody Iris. These two hand in hand with each other. Both star George Hilton, both star Edwidge Fennish, both have a cult in it. This one is more Giallo than this one is, but I mean, there's this one here too. First film I ever watched with George Hilton was this one, My Dear Killer. Part of Forgotten Gialli. Which is a good one too. He plays a detective in here, and I'm like, he mentions My Dear Killer. I'm like, oh, that's right. I think I have that one. So what can you say? Great actor, great actress. I mean, shit. I mean, they're all timers. Yeah.
The title actually for this one was the original title. I'll probably butcher it. Is Tutti I Calari del Bueo. And this was a title Gastaldi took from a science fiction paperback in the Urania series, All the Colors of Darkness.
Nice.
So, he
tried to write books, tried to write sci-fi books and stuff like that. Ernesto Gastaldi did so.
So the film was circulated overseas in a cut version under the title "They're Coming to Get You," featuring like a new opening credit sequence. This also began to show up on TV as "Demons of the Dead" was the title for that. Probably in a cut version, I would imagine.
Yeah,
I think it may even be on one of these releases. That version, the cut version. The script is credited to Gastaldi and Saro Scavallini from a story by Santiago Moncada, Castaldi claims to have written it all on his own, though. So I don't know what the truth is with that one.
Yeah.
The castle is Whitehurst Place in West Sussex, London.
Very
That's
nice.
what I was trying to remember. This real Gothic revival mansion that was actually in a couple of other films. It was in Demons of the Mind, a Hammer film from 1972, and The Legend of Hell House from 1973.
Oh,
so that fucking mansion is actually in those films.
very nice.
So,
It's a
yeah,
good location, definitely, to do that.
I highly recommend this one to people. And
Yeah,
go in
definitely.
not expecting your run-of-the-mill Giallo. Go in fucking with a complete open mind to like fucking black mass and ceremonies and all that shit. And I think you'll come out with it.
More cults,
enjoying it.
please. Join us. Yeah, definitely.
It's completely like one of its own, though, I'd say. Even though the case of the Bloody Iris, I admit, you are right. It's kind of similar, but it's kind of
they're good bookends. They're good bookends for that. If you want
good double feature,
some good sexy Edwidge finish and a very good looking George Hilton, just go ahead. Definitely. Just want to say hi to Miss Net Blood Rose Horror Nightmare. It's good to see you here, Nanette. Thanks for joining, dropping in, saying hi. Definitely check out our channel, people.
Yeah,
very good. She was in Gorephobe's Horror Trivia Tournament, so she's in one of the final rounds there. So that was fun doing that with her. She's very smart, very educated in the horror genre, so it's very cool. Definitely check out her character. Okay, the last one on this Giallo Rex tonight is, wow, this was a good one. So this is part of the Lindsay Baker set that Severin released. That's a great box set. I think it's out of print, unfortunately. But we're talking about Knife of Ice. Very good one from 1972 as well. Talk a little bit about this one, Darren.
Right, I'm going to show this off first because I've got the 88 Films limited edition.
Oh, look at that badass one. That almost looks like the Fifth Chord, the way that looks.
It does, doesn't it? Very similar. Yeah. This one's got booklet, poster, a lot. So I highly recommend getting that if you can.
Nice.
I picked this one because it is I think this one's overlooked in Lindsay's kind of filmography.
It's not what you kind of think of as a Gialli of this time would be. It's old school, in my opinion, for what it is.
Yeah, it's fairly bloodless. It's
yes, it is.
You don't really
other
see
than
a
the
lot
opening scene, which was basically unneeded in the film. But yeah, directed by Umberto Lenzi, 1972, stars the great Carol Baker as Martha Caldwell. Alan Scott, a good mainstay in films like these too, as Il Dottor Laurent, and Evelyn Stewart as Jenny Ascott. You'll know her when you see her. Evelyn Stewart, from, of course, my favorite role by her is The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. She's also in The Case of the Scorpion's Tail as well, I think, at the start of that film.
Footprints on the Moon, she's in. She's in Murder Mansion. The list goes on.
Footprints on the Moon. I say this film is very similar to The Spiral Staircase. It's very
completely similar
to a Woman in a Lizard's Skin, one on top of the other. Stephen Thrower is on this disc right here. Like I say, give me more Stephen Thrower all day, every day. He talks about Carol Baker and her amazing career. Umberto Lenzi and his great career. We talked about Umberto Lenzi. We'll talk about him a little bit more when this is over with and stuff like that. But get us started with this one, Darren. Knife of Ice.
So you've just said Carol Baker obviously plays Martha. I mean, she's amazing in all these early Lenzi, Gialli. He didn't want to like. So there's another Lenzi film that came out around about I think a year before called Oasis of Fear.
Yeah,
and that's the only one I think around this time period she didn't star in.
Yeah,
and Lenzi didn't think she was right for the role, and they used a young girl, I think, Nella Muti. But so this one, like you say, it's kind of bloodless, but don't let that put you off because this is all about suspense.
It has a gothic feel to it. It has a very gothic feel to it as well. I think this is one of his only ones that does that.
This is his love letter, and he's actually gone on record to say this, and he don't give compliments to many things. But Lenzi said this is his love letter to The Spiral Staircase from 1946.
Yes.
And there's a scene later on, right, that Chris probably picked up on, where Carol Baker's character, because she plays a mute, we'll come into all that now, but she plays a character that's trying to get the attention from outside of the house, and she starts crashing fucking mirrors and that's completely
There's a
lifted from the
great
spiral
scene.
staircase.
Yeah, that's a great scene too. There's a lot of good scenes in here.
So the opening, just to like, so we see Martha. She's this young woman. She's a mute. Her parents have been killed in kind of like this train accident where her father literally had to save her by throwing her out the window, basically, just to like save her. And ever since that, she's like 15 years ago, I think it was, she's not been able to talk since. Her and Jenny Ascott, Ida Gialli, Evelyn Stewart, like Chris said. The opening scene they're in, and this is kind of like as brutal as it gets, really, when it comes to this film.
Yeah.
They're at this bullfighting in Spain, which was a massive thing at the time.
It's still a massive thing, but not as prevalent, but they still do it. It's culture, like say running up bulls and all that, running up bulls and all this stuff too. Yeah. I would be surprised. Don't quote me on that. I don't want people to get on my butt about that. Like I said, it was unneeded in the film. Stephen Thrower kind of stated, and don't know why he put it in the film because he's totally against that. Yeah. It is. It is. I mean, but it is culture. I mean, there's been cases where the bullfighter, if he wants to impress a lady, he'll cut off the ear of the bull and give it to her as a present to show his affection, like showing that look what kind of I did here. And stuff like that too, but yeah, that's how they did it. It's a very brutal scene. It's not for the faint of heart.
So the horse as well. They actually blindfold the horse.
Yeah, blindfold the horse, and the horse. So
the bull goes
the horse
straight.
Is dead. Yeah, it goes right through the horse. Horse. Because the horse, once the horse becomes lame, they have to euthanize it. I mean, you can't do. Yeah, it starts out with a quote from Edgar Allan Poe, which is even more interesting.
So fear is a knife of ice which penetrates the senses down to the depth of conscience, which is
very interesting, which leads to the premise of this film. You don't realize that at the start. You're like, oh, okay, that's very Fulci thing to do.
Very Martino, actually, as well, if you think about it.
Yeah, Martino, it's very. So each one of them have done that because I think of Fulci at the end of House by the Cemetery, and I'm like, what?
Some of those quotes Fulci mentions wasn't even a real thing. Like you just fucking made them up, which is great. But yeah, so you've got Martha. Then she goes to the station to visit, to greet, I should say, her cousin Jenny Ascott.
She's already freaked out by that scene with the train. She's already freaked out by that.
Yeah.
So her ears. Yeah,
it's a big thing for her to go to a train station after all the trauma she had as a child. Her cousin is actually an artist. She's a well-known artist. Martha lives in Martinez in the Spanish Pyrenees Mountains is where this film is actually set.
Yeah.
Great setting, by the way. Yeah. Isolation again, out in the middle of nowhere.
Lindsay doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion.
No.
I don't know why he does. Well, of course, we've talked about it. Known for his cannibal films. He did the first cannibal film, didn't he? Like,
Man from Deep River,
yeah, Man from Deep River. Then, of course, you have stuff like Eaten Alive, which he's known for because of his competition with Ruggiero Deodato and stuff like that too. But I mean,
he did 3, didn't he? He did Cannibal Ferox, which is obviously in retaliation.
Yeah, that's Eat Them or Let Them Die Slowly. Actually, is that?
Yeah. So Eaten Alive is another.
He is another one. Yeah, say to your point.
So he's done 3 fucking top class cannibal films. He's best known, as Chris said earlier, his crime films are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, is Eurocrime or top tier? At least watching the tough ones, I'd recommend the tough ones be your first film to watch with.
I would say
Mr. I forget his name, Marcel or something like that.
Merli, Marcel Merli.
Yeah, Merli and Thomas Million, dude. It's like you can't. Those two.
I would say watch fucking all. If you've not seen Almost Human. Go out immediately.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of because he did Almost Human right after this, and a lot of people consider that their favorite Felicio Tesci period. Like really nothing comes close to that.
Number
film.
One. It's
because it's pretty ruthless from what the trailer. The trailer says something else because it's an English trailer, but it's like from the director that gives you this. So
exactly. That's the number 1 crime film. But so you got Marcus, the driver. He goes to get help because they're both in the car, and he tries to get help because I think the engines overheating or what have you. But then we see for the first time the character of this. Well, we don't know who he is at this point. He's a stranger, but he's got these crazed fucking eyes.
He's a variant. Yeah, some
Yeah.
vagrant, vagabond type of a person. A quick shout out to the dubbing here. It's hilarious. A lot of this stuff is robotic. It's like, it's so funny. The driver is like, because it's a whodunit. It's a classic whodunit because you think every one of these people are shady.
He's
like,
the big red hair in the driver.
Yeah, big, huge red hair in the way he turns, the way he talks. Even the doctor, even the flippant doctor, Alan Scott. What a great actor he is. Just
did you know something about him though? Right, I was reading up about him in Troy's book, or it might have been on the audio commentary or what have you. That guy, Alan Scott, was literally penniless. Oh, I think Umberto Lenzi actually mentioned it. He was in real life. He was penniless. He'd turn up to the set and he'd have holes in his shoes, holes in his socks. Lenzi said he was probably the worst thing about the film. He said was his performance. But yeah, take that from Lenzi.
Well, like I said, give a huge shout out to the dubbing because that's why I love films like this. The English dubbing, I'll watch it for just because of what they'll say and stuff like that too. It's done good. I'm not saying it's not, but it's like his character and let's say the butler's character. I'm like going, dude, this is hilarious.
And you've heard the voices before in other films.
Yes, of course I have. They're mainstay voices, specifically one voice for Luigi Pistilli that was used a few times. I've heard it before. It's a mainstay, and it just works for the characters.
What I like about this one, though, is it's more character development. So you've got Uncle Ralph. He's back at the house. He's waiting for the two to turn up. But he's got like this really bad heart condition. Like Jenny ends up, she gives him a load of books, including a black magic book, which is funny enough. From the the earlier film we just mentioned, all the colors of that. But she also gives Martha this old recording. I think it's like of this poem.
It's like a birthday party or something like that.
Is it like a Mickey Mouse poem or something?
Yeah, something like that. Well, it's kind of dark in the way because you will die if this will happen. Something where I will kill you if something happens there.
She obviously recited this in school and it was recorded at some point.
Yeah.
But you've got Martha's father, then we find out all the truth about her being thrown out the window. I think the whole train went up in flames, which makes it even worse, So Dr. Lauren visits and they have this dinner party next evening. Martha keeps getting these flashbacks from her childhood. We get the character then of Christina, this young girl, and she plays a big part in the film. She blows out her candle. It's all she probably about 8 or 9, I would imagine.
Right, all the lights go off, and
she turns the lights off.
And Martha gets kind of freaked out by it, and then you see the birthday cake come in there and all.
But they got this special little bond, haven't they, between them, which is kind of nice. So you've got that, something's going on then between the doctor and the housemaid. They start, little things you pick up on between the two of them.
Yeah, you think so by the way they're all looking at each other. Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't know exactly what.
With Jenny and stuff like that, it's because the uncle mentions it for Dotar. He's like, he's the most eligible bachelor, here and stuff like that. Right, that's right.
Too. Yeah. But Jenny, like, she hears a crash downstairs then later that night.
Yeah.
She investigates and she comes across this.
Like I say, great gothic atmosphere. It's dark. Yeah. She's going down the stairs. She goes into the garage. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I mean. This is all about suspense rather than just seeing an act of killing.
This isn't a cut and paste Gialli, make no mistake. I liked it when it harkens back to what films like The Spiral Staircase are.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like it a lot. We don't actually see her demise in this film.
And this is from Lenzi too, so this is the most toned down of anything he's ever done. Like, it's really
I've heard people argue, like I've argued with certain people on this. Not argue, but mention that this doesn't have, people say to me, this doesn't have a black glove killer. And I'm like, well, yeah.
Actually, it does. It's just not what you think it is.
So I was on the Eurocult podcast with Stephen Dana, and I remember Steve saying this doesn't have a black glove killer. I'm like, yeah, it actually does. It might not
actually does, but it's not what you think it is. Yeah.
But obviously, needless to say, she gets killed. next day, or you know, when it's kind of revealed, I think it's to do with a cat.
Just
You know,
like
so this
it's
little
sunny
girl.
outside, they're all eating
It's
eating
next
lunch or
morning, I
something like
believe.
that too.
Yeah,
It's like going, have you
yeah,
seen her? No, I think maybe she went for a walk or something like that. And she's underneath the car. That harkens back to Blood and Black Lace. That harkens back to quintessential films, Kickstarters like that, right? Where
yeah,
the
yeah.
cat
Because you got
wanders in there. The cat
the
wanders in
blood
there. The girl
trickle.
picks it up. Yeah.
So
And the way she
yeah,
holds the cat, you notice that? The way
yeah,
she holds the cat, she picks it up and that cat's not moving. Like,
right,
it's just like literally sitting there. See all the blood on it? Whoa, what's
yeah.
that? Yeah.
But they
That's when
think it's
she's
paint, don't they, at first? But what
either that
the
or that's a fake cat because that cat's not moving.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So you just don't know in these films, do you? So Christina's been given this pet kitten, and then obviously this pet kitten
It's called
kind of
Snoopy.
Snoopy, yeah,
Is it
yeah.
called Snoopy? Yeah. She's given a toy too, which is a Daffy Duck thing that
Which is
walks.
bizarre, right? Because
Dude, what a toy.
this girl is like 8 or 9, maybe 9 or 10,
Yeah.
and this like fucking Donald
It
Duck
waddles
thing.
and
It's like
everything. Daffy Duck.
it's a baby. It's for a baby, literally, like a 3 or 4 year old. Um,
There's a good scene
uh,
where I'll say it real quick that the person that's stalking her at the time will kick that toy down the stairs and it lands on its feet.
it does. They
It
must
goes
have
boom, boom,
shot
boom,
that
boom,
a
boom,
few
boom, boom, boom.
times.
You could not have planned that any better. That had to be a one-shot thing. Probably the direct Lindsay looked at that and he goes like, "Oh, that's money."
Yeah, I would imagine they shot that a few
Goes
times
right
to
to
get
the
that.
door. Goes
It
right
was
to the door.
completely in frame as well.
That sounds like something straight out of Lucio Fulci.
Yeah, yeah. So the police turn up now. They start to ask questions. The doctor had returned to the house, and he's become a big suspect as well now, because on at least 2 occasions, one later on, he goes
It's
back to the
weird
house
because he'll
while
just
these killings are
leave.
going on. Yeah,
Yeah, he'll
yeah.
just leave. Yeah.
But that's where he's having some kind of an affair with the housemaid. But
Well, they're thinking something's going on because when they talk to him like, "Where were
they have to
you?"
be
and
having
this
some
was going
affair.
on,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
saw like two shots. You saw her from the window and him going up and looking at her. So yeah, something maybe possibly was going on there.
So what the police kind of come to the conclusion now is just before the cousin got killed, a young girl got killed 3 years earlier, and she was
Yeah,
put into a ditch. So they're thinking there's a sex maniac on the loose.
I like the
And
detectives in this too. I like the police and I
yeah,
like the
yeah,
detectives in this because they go over scenes like where were you when this happened? Where were you when this happened? We're going to reenact this stuff too.
yeah, that's
Interrogations are done
cool.
very
The way they
good.
do it.
Yeah.
That's the guy from Cat o' Nine Tails as well, the one that
Yes, it
gets pushed in
is.
front of the train.
Yes, it is.
Um, but yeah, needless to say, they think the sex maniac is
It's
on
the
the
same
loose.
person.
At Jenny's funeral, then Martha sees this man again with the weird eyes. He keeps popping up everywhere. Um,
That's a
but
weird scene with the feet.
yeah,
That's with the lowering of the casket, huh? When she's kneeling down and the
yeah,
butler's
yeah.
all looking at her like he's thinking something,
He's kind of like watching her from afar,
being
but
kind
then
of
they
shady.
find
That's when
they
the
find this
detective's all
really
looking at him, or the
yeah,
doctor
yeah,
is. I think the doctor is, or somebody is looking at him, and he's just like,
yeah, yeah. They find this weird pendant of a goat, like where he was, so they kind of link it to him. Um, And then you've got the whole aspect then of fucking black magic as
yeah,
well, I
black
guess, you know?
mass. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The goat obviously represents Satan. That's kind of a well-known thing. Um, but the man who loses the pendant is known to be this local kind of devil worshipper.
yeah, long hair, good-looking dude too. He looks familiar. I may have seen him in other stuff too. Yeah, he's like long,
He's been in other things, I
young,
think.
curly,
Yeah,
kind of like black hair and stuff like that
yeah,
too, and
yeah.
all this
He's
stuff
definitely
too.
been.
Yeah.
The cat ends up getting its throat slashed as well.
She sees
Um,
it out the window, but that's the last thing you see of that. Almost
Yeah,
like
yeah,
on a
nothing else is
Halloween,
mentioned.
before
Yeah,
Halloween. Like she goes
right.
out the window, she looks at that, then it's like, is that in
It's
her
like
head?
she doesn't want to mention that to the little girl
Yeah,
either.
it's
It's
like,
like,
is that
you
in
know
her
what I
head
mean?
or like
Yeah.
something's going on? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's getting flashbacks at this point as well to the bullfight again, where you know, it's become too
Yeah,
gruesome
where
for her, and she
her
kind of leaves.
sister, her
Yeah,
sister's the one that's clapping, and she's the one
yeah,
that's not.
yeah.
She's like going, "Oh, this is great," and all this other stuff too.
Absolutely. You've got what I like about this as well. You've got the foggy streets. It's like
Yeah.
the whole opening is kind of a mist. Because I don't know about you, but when I first saw this film, I'm like thinking, is that the fuck? Is something wrong with my picture? Like, you know, but there's kind of a lot of foggy scenes in this, which kind of gives
There's
it
a
a good
scene where
atmosphere.
we're up to now. Are we up to the point where scene where the maid takes her bicycle and goes somewhere? I think it is like
We're
during
not
the.
far away. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We got
Okay.
the Christina gives Martha this Snoopy pendant, like you said, and like a necklace.
Oh, that's
I
right. Yeah,
presume.
present. Yeah, the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dragon statue or wherever that was, like near where the chairs and table are at. I thought that was kind of funny.
So you've got Marco again, the driver. He's the obvious redhead, and we mentioned the murderer would have had to have opened the gate from the inside, so they're thinking it's kind of an inside job now as well. The police find this hideout of this stranger with the crazed eyes in this abandoned building, where they find lots of like morphine and syringes and all drug paraphernalia.
One thing about this, which makes it a
Yeah,
gothic
yeah,
thing too, it's a house that's right by a cemetery. So literally, the house by the
exactly.
cemetery.
So yeah, we got to mention that
It's a morgue. Yeah.
the uncle bought the house by the cemetery because he's into all this black magic shit, and
Magic stuff. Yeah.
he
You see,
he
like
goes
all
off.
books in there. There's no television. It's
Yeah,
all books, and
yeah,
you're thinking, yeah, this is about right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he's a big black magic nut, and he's kind of bought a house next to a cemetery. They get like a anonymous phone call at the house, which just hangs up. No, you know, never speaks. But there, if you want to carry on from then, Chris, about the housekeeper,
Yeah.
that's
So
where we are.
the maid is going somewhere to get something, and she's going down basically this dirt type road and stuff in this forest area, big forest area, man. It's gigantic, and she stops because she sees that that in carving it looks like it's in blood of the goat's head or
Yeah.
of whatever like that, and that's all you see. She just goes up to it, and that's all you see from that.
I
Then
think she sees a girl as well, doesn't she? Christina playing with her friends
I think so.
when they're in
But
the
it's
woods.
just
And
that, but that's all you see. You don't see what
yeah,
happens to her until later, where the it was the doctor that gets the call because the phone all rings and stuff like that, and the uncle says, "Doctor, you answer that, please." I'm like, okay. He does like that, and he's like going, "Oh, they found her."
that's how they find out. Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's
So
dead. I think her throat's cut. I think slit or something like that as well. And that starts like a big chase. You have like all these German shepherds out here. It's like a manhunt, dude. That's why I kind of like about the urgency and stuff like that too. One of the guys says this is probably a total waste of time because we're getting no sleep doing this.
that's right. Yeah, and that's where we get the doctor as well becomes a big red herring as well because he's got blood on his trousers from a case where he's been seeing
Yeah,
some
he
guys
said he had to help
bleeding.
somebody that got hurt
Yeah.
or something like that too.
But yeah, like you say, it kind of gets a bit weird with the goat symbol and cat in the
The
tree.
dogs end up going to like what is it like dog food or some meat or something like that too.
Yeah,
So
like a
it's a huge waste of
tin of food.
time.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you're thinking, oh, this person's extremely intelligent. Like if that's the case, if they did that on purpose of what maybe that
Exactly. Yeah.
was written
Yeah.
on or what was drawn on that wood and stuff like that to make the maid stop and have her go out there
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
look at that.
So, but there's an interesting part of that where later on we find out with Christina, the girl, she sees an important part.
She sees an
With that
extremely
going on.
important part that she writes down in her diary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I love. I love all that.
Oh, I love that.
But she obviously Martha keeps getting these flashbacks. Uncle Ralph then tells Martha she should leave for a little while.
Yeah, the doctor will take you
And
somewhere.
that's when he sees like an envelope had been delivered with like a goat fucking
with
symbol.
her name on those like clipping letters, that people like
Yeah.
to use, so you can't trace it or anything like that. Yeah,
Been
and he
shoved into
decides,
the
and
door.
he keeps that.
He puts it in his pocket, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I'm thinking, dude, this is a straight up whodunit Agatha Christie type of a thing. It just works.
It is. I mean, like, I know we're gonna mention the rest of the film, but to me, it's so unique as well because with an Argento Martino, even you get all these blood slashings and all that. I think this film is probably a little bit better than that, to be honest.
I do. I
Do you know what
like
I mean?
I like it. I like the more mystery part of that, where it's like you don't know when you're like going, oh, that's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to like it's well known saying, isn't it, with Texas Chainsaw Massacre? You've got to work it out. Yeah, you've got to put the puzzle together in your
There's
head.
not a lot of kills in that
Way-
film either. Yeah, there's not a lot of kills in that film either.
There's no
Yeah.
blood. It's very similar as well.
Yeah.
But Christina asks why, because she's at the funeral then, and Christina asks Martha why she's not wearing a Snoopy pendant.
She's asking where the cat is too.
Yeah, which she doesn't.
She's like, I put the cat in something like that. It's doing fine. And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, she doesn't want to tell her.
Yeah.
We got that great scene then in the rainstorm where you got this crazed-eyed fucking madman. He breaks into like the local doctor's office and gets all this morphine, and then like some
he slams into someone when it's pouring down rain and takes his umbrella, which is like you couldn't even plan that any better. He has like the rain type, I say Jack the Ripper,
almost
type
like
cloak.
a fucking black cloak. Yeah.
It is very gothic and very backwoods looking parts of this place, because you have the corridors, right? You have like the stone streets and all this stuff too. I love Italian films like that, where you just kind of go through these corridors.
Oh,
and
it's gothic
disappears.
Looking, yeah. Out in the countryside as well. It's fucking amazing location. Uncle Ralph then, he's taken quite ill. He's not very well. Due to
had like a heart issues. Like I said, she's given him. She gives him a. Well, he does get really sick at one time, but he is staying there. You just don't see him. Like a certain
gives him these heart drops or what have you.
Yeah, these drops to help him sleep and stuff.
Yeah. But all the lights go out that night. She's there with her uncle. All the lights go out due to
that's a great scene.
It is, man. It fucking is. And you've got Michael. Then he's dressed up in all black. He's been out.
Yeah, he opens the door. He's like going, "Oh, hi."
That is the spiral staircase. I'm telling you, because you've got the same character in the spiral staircase that's got the same look with the raincoat and all that.
It's the groundskeeper.
Yeah.
And his wife.
Which I love. I love that little nod there. So we're wondering, is he the killer? And then Martha's just found unconscious on the floor with electrical cord around her neck. Again, we don't see why how that happened.
It was just there. Yeah, they
just revealed the next,
because she talks in sign language. It's like when she calls and talks to the doctor, whoever on the phone, she'll like tap the phone like in Morse code, and they know what she's talking about. I'm like, that's so good. I love those phones too. Just pick it up and then it's at the bottom.
But she manages to like tell her in her own way about that she saw some suspicious like activity with using like a flashlight in the local cemetery. She saw a flashlight going off. The police then, they descend on this cemetery. They got this guy trapped from one end to the other. So they bring him in. His name's Woody. He denies all the killings, of course.
He says, I am into the cult. I was going to a black mass and all this other stuff too.
He completely upfront. Yeah, he's an English guy. He's got this really fucking weird English accent. But
he's wearing those round black glasses and stuff like that. I love that dude. He's just like chilling out.
You've got a little funny thing with the police inspector as well. Like he's got flu, and they mentioned that a couple of times. I think very similar to what Argento used to do.
There's a funny scene that comes up when they have to have her identify him. That's really funny. That's I'm like, really though? That's like, I have to admit, there's some stuff in there. I'd be like, I'm not having that. Like those too close to each other.
So Martha tells the police that she's seen this drug addict before, but she's not sure that he's the actual guy that attacked her the night previous.
Or killed her. Or
is the killer in general.
Killed her sister. Who's been at these places and stuff like that too. Yeah.
And Martha remembers Jenny then brought a black magic book for Uncle Ralph. And that's kind of like a flashback or what have you.
Yeah.
Martha buys Christina, and that's where the Donald Duck toy comes in. But she plays this strange game with her hide and seek.
Hide and seek where she blindfolds herself.
Yeah. And then you've got a really fucking, because any kids that get
Well,
killed
she catches
in
her.
a Giallo film.
Yeah, she catches her, and then they just do it again, and then that's when
she goes missing, doesn't she? The girl.
She goes missing. She takes off,
Yeah.
and that's a good scene there. She takes off her thing, then the camera widens out where she's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like a fever dream again, where it's like it's just her out there, right, in this thing. Because the
Right.
uncle was watching them at first, playing around, but nothing's there. The doctor before this already left, said I had to go do something, which is
Again.
even more weird.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry I can't stay, but I'll be back. There's a lot of weird shit going on in here where it's like some people decide to leave when they shouldn't leave. I'll just say that because we're going to get to that point.
Yeah.
And it's to this point too where, you know, she tells the uncle, she tells the maid, tells the maid first, the new maid, I think, or one of the maids there, and then tells her uncle about it, goes out looking for him, and then she goes and you see the good doctor there over Christina, and she's dead. And you're like,
she's
damn.
Been strangled, yeah.
Damn, she's been strangled. Yeah. Just
Uh,
laying there, no like wounds wise, you see no blood or anything like that, which makes it even worse. It's like, damn.
It does, yeah. And you think, like, because so far we've had no blood, no real slashing killings and all that, you don't know whether they're going to go as far as to, like, kill a young girl, but they do. And it is kind of shocking. But
She's supposed to be 8 years old, I think.
Something like that, yeah. Yeah. The police then, they dig up the body of the first murdered girl, or they think it's the first murdered girl. The one from the ditch.
Which that's a trip. You have these two dudes all lifting up the coffins and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. Like with the rope and just putting it there and stuff. That's when the doctor says, oh, it's still good. We can still do an autopsy, right? It's almost like a private autopsy, you know?
Right. So the police then find out that was Woody's actually girlfriend that he'd known for a couple of days.
Yeah, an overdose.
She was like a heroin addict. Yeah. She overdosed.
And he makes the comment of like going, thank goodness for that girl dying. He was like, well, no, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? I was like,
yeah. I was thinking that when he said it, like, but yeah, he admits to like not killing her, obviously, but he admits to like covering it up, putting her in a ditch because he was just
because he got scared. What somebody in that situation would do. Make no mistake, people are like that. It's
right.
Like,
so obviously they've done the whole autopsy and they find out that it is all true, that she did die of a heroin overdose. Yeah. So now we don't know who this killer is. You know, I presume he's not set free, but he's at least, you know, they've got him for.
That's where they say it's like, so what do we have to do? Yeah. And the officer just says it, and the detective plays. That's a good part from him. Like he's like, what is it when they're trying to find the dude in the cemetery? He's all like, I have a fever high enough to kill a horse, I think it is, and stuff like that. Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah.
Let's just get this over with.
But we see a major clue then with Uncle Ralph when he's looking through Christina's old school books, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And I won't mention what it is, but there's a massive clue into the identity.
There's one where he looks at this, it's like this drawing, which looks like an occultist, like looking drawing and stuff like that too. There's some, like say some scenes that
some weirdness is going on. Yeah.
There's scenes where the doctor says there's going to be police here at all times. You should be fine.
Yeah.
There should be no issues, which is hilarious because it's like, okay, cool. She can be protected. But then there's a scene where the officer that's guarding the place says, basically the dude's going to be late. I'm not going to stay. I'm just going to go ahead and go. And I'm like,
he's called out on another job, isn't he? He's called out.
No, he's not even called out on another job. He was off. So he decides to go.
Okay.
And it's like, but the other dude hasn't shown up yet. So again, it's just her. And you feel sorry for her character. It's like, holy shit, nobody's there. It's like, there's no relationship attachments here whatsoever. That's what I like about this. It's like, really, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. But there's a lot of funny stuff. There's the interrogation scene where, you know, he's just like right there, right next to her. And she's all like, no, I can't really. So they walk out first. So she goes like right past him and stuff like that. And she's like this. I'm like, that's hilariously good. It's like, and he's just sitting there by himself, dude. It's like, okay, he can literally like go up and try to strangle her before the good doctor or whatever like that could get to her. So
There's a lot, like you say, there's a lot of weird shit where the doctor even admits, like when he goes off to see that pregnant woman, and he admits he had to come back at one point just to give her and the girl candy, like a box of candy.
Yeah.
They
There is
do
that
all
scene
that
too where they
reconstruction.
reenact
Yeah, that's
when
what
the
I
girl
meant.
dies. Yeah, go ahead and get to that, Dara.
No,
Darren,
no,
sorry.
you're okay. if you want to mention
Jumping
it.
the gun a little bit. Go ahead.
So the police try this reconstruction of what happened when the young girl was killed. That's where they find out the thing with the doctor, you know. Uncle Ralph then has another heart attack. He kind of passes away at the hospital.
As it's going on, she's like up there. She throws a rock at her or something like that, and she's like, "Get in here!"
She does, yeah. That's another sign from the.
But the thing is, they don't cover his face when they bring him out on the gurney, right?
He's actually alive, I think. Yeah, when at that point they think he's alive.
So like I'm gonna go with them and stuff like that and see what's going on.
They tell her later on, I think.
Yeah, she goes to the hospital.
Yeah.
Goes to the hospital. He says, "I'm sorry, he died," and stuff like that too. She's in shock, but not like it's almost like she's broken.
See him. Yeah,
she's almost like she's broken, right? Where it's like this has happened to so many things. I can understand why your brain is basically like mush, and you're just like can't do it anymore. So I'm just like totally gone mentally and stuff like that. Do you want to see her? She's like, no. Just take me home, basically.
We're not going to give away the killer. I will say the first time I saw this, it completely had me. I didn't have no idea.
Me neither. I mean, I'm blown away by this. I was like, wow.
Needless to say, there's some characters you think, like Chris said in the other films as well, you think are dead and maybe are not. I don't know how far else you want to go with this. There's a scene, like you say, where she smashes the mirror, completely lifted from a spiral staircase, but it's fucking fantastic. She's being stalked around this house by this unknown assailant now.
Right, somebody gets in the house who has keys to the house.
That's a great scene.
It's really where she's doing everything because there's a motorcycle officer that pulls up there because he sees that the gate is open. So somebody got in there. So he goes there. He's all waiting and stuff like that. She shatters the mirror just as he starts up the motorcycle again.
That's the one. That's the guy who's been called off to go to a different job.
Breaks the window, and then he just goes. It's a good. That's where they just show the shoes of the person that's stalking her. That somebody got in the house. So she goes into like the lower basement area. You hear the Donald Duck toy going. The person kicks the duck. It goes down the stairs and lands directly on its feet and then waddles its way to the door where she's at. So
superb shot, man.
It all goes to a scene basically. Like I say, this is a house right next to a cemetery.
Yeah.
She goes to the mausoleum there. There's a gun. There's a gun on the seat. There's a seat with a gun in there.
Right.
And she decides to pick up that gun. And stuff is revealed at the end of that. I'll just leave it at that, where she fires the gun at somebody, but I will leave it at that. If you haven't seen this film, I highly recommend it. It's part of a great box set. Your overall thoughts on this film, Darren?
I love this one. I always have. I actually think it might be my favorite from the box set. Although I like So Sweet, So Perverse a lot too, or Orgasmo, obviously. A Quiet Place to Kill, they're all really good films.
What's his name is in A Quiet Place to Kill, right? John Sorrell, is he in that one? Or am I thinking of him? I know he's in one of them.
I know Carol Baker is.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because that's part of that set.
It's confusing because A Quiet Place to Kill is almost got the same alternative title as Oasis of Fear.
Yeah.
And it gets really fucking confusing. No, I love this one. This is another 8 out of 10. High 8 out of 10, even.
Me too. Definitely a solid to high 8 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah, very much overlooked.
It's very much like the Staircase, specifically the ending. My goodness, I'm
Oh
like,
man,
wow.
you can put these two together in a
Yeah.
fucking double feature.
It has
man,
a gothic atmosphere. You know, Lindsay basically said this was an homage to that film, like Spiral Staircase. What isn't?
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest gothic early Giallo films you'll ever see at the time. But yeah, this is a good one. Like I say, during the time at the peak of Gialli, like I say, 70s to 73. I mean, really, this was the peak. And like I say, Lindsay would later on do like the one I said, Almost Human. You know, it's like from tit to tat. It's like, what can you say about him? A great director, great special features on this Severin. This is the Lindsay Baker set. This was the last film they did together for the most part and stuff.
It was, yeah.
What a collaboration between the two. But yeah, it's very good. Like I say, this special features has Carol and Umberto's final stab interview with Stephen Thrower, author of Nightmare USA. Until the Silence Screams interview with director Umberto Lenzi. Those are always fascinating interviews with the late, great director. And what can you say? And of course, the alternate credit scene. These are all great. If you can pick up this box set for cheap, find it and do it.
No brainer.
Definitely going. But yeah, like I say, this gets a high 8 out of 10 for me too. All these. This is the first time. Yeah. This is the first time I think I've done all 8 out of 10 for these films right here. These are all quintessential Giallos. These are very good. You could pick any one of these and have a good time with it, definitely.
So Lenzi never just influenced this by the Spiral Staircase alone. There's another film that he really liked. Richard Flying Shaker's UK proto slasher See No Evil come out a year before, and that's got a blind person being stalked by a killer. So that was a big inspiration. Like Lenzi actually said that. Yeah. Knife of Ice was announced in Variety February 1972. Just as film started. So basically, he was filming Man from Deep River as this was announced, and then this come in the July after of the same year. Originally, this film was called Vertigo because Hitchcock's Vertigo at the time had not come out in Italy. So they're going to try and fucking get off that fact. So yeah, there's some great stuff, some great stuff with this one.
Very good.
The last thing I will mention, it hit Italian theaters on the 24th of August, 1972. It took a year to come out in Spain. While there was an English dub, it didn't play in English language territories. Lenzi said the film did badly because of the title. Probably more to do with the lack of sex and violence, maybe, rather than the title. But who knows?
Who knows? Who knows for that?
But yeah, all bangers. And I mean, I'm glad Chris liked all three, to be honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this was definitely a good Giallo Rex, and I'd like to thank everybody that's popped in and out. Really appreciate that on my birthday today, this Wednesday, April 16th. It may be Thursday, April 17th, where some of you all at. I still appreciate you all coming in and joining me. Darren, what do you have going on your channels?
Right, so we've got, I'm not going to be on there, but Dirk's doing like an anniversary of our channel on Saturday night. And there's going to be a few guests, well-known guests in that. I think Johnny's Boutique. I think Anthony's Horror and More, Pops' Movie Dungeon are all planned for that one. So keep a lookout for that. Week after that, we're going to be doing Phenomena with Johnny. So that's going to be like a deep dive just on
fucking love Phenomena.
Yeah.
You take all your favorite slashers and you just put them into one, and that's what you get.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Dario Argento, definitely. Dario Nicolati's best performances, in my opinion.
Oh man, yeah. And I think we're going to be doing the last Forgotten Gialli Part 8 at some point pretty soon, but we haven't gone too far ahead this time on what we're doing, so they're the main couple of things. Yeah. But Saturday night, if you can, anyone watching this who's not subscribed to our channel, and the naming's under, where I am there, Subjective Perspective Collective, please go over, because we're trying to do a little bit of a push towards 500. So go over there, have a little look at what we're doing. If you like Gialli films, give us a like, give us a follow, and all that good stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I put their channel in the info bar. Flesh Wound Features, Dan and those boys are doing a great
Oh
job
yeah,
over
we
there.
do Dead End as well with
The
with
Dead End
Western.
Drive-In, they do
Yeah,
great stuff over there as well. Visited by Voices, Lorne, and those awesome people over there, those dudes and ladies.
absolutely.
They do a great job over there too. Of course, Dead Pit at the Dead Pit Boys. What else
Dead
can you
Pit.
say
You've
about
got
them? Yeah,
Johnny's Boutique, Anthony's Horror Mall, Pop's
more
Movie
Movie
Dungeon.
Dungeon, absolutely.
Chris probably knows a ton more as well.
Yeah, I just put
Um,
these channels in there because, like I say, just love the films and I just love this genre. Gialli's a great thing. Future Slasher Stream, episode 10. This is the
yeah,
big one. 10 episodes. We're having a great time with this, and it starts our official Slashtastic summer. So we're talking about the Sleepaway Camp trilogy. So we're talking about Sleepaway Camp.
right.
We're talking about Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers. And
Yeah.
we are talking about Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland. There is a fourth one, but I heard that's very highly unwatchable to begin with. So
Technically, there's 5. There's Return
yeah,
to Sleepaway Camp, which is awful. And they did make another one, but they kind of half made it. I think they made 40 minutes or something. But we'll mention all that when we do it.
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to the summer because we got like a summer slashback kind of planned where we're going to be covering Just Before Dawn and Final Terror and Madman and all films like
Man,
that.
all these good ones, of course,
Yeah.
The Burning, all this stuff from that time. What can you say? Sweet 16 will be in there. We got some good
Cheerleader
stuff.
Camp, if Chris can get a copy of that,
Oh,
there's
it's
the
no
list
good.
goes on. All the Boys Love Mandy Lane is one I want Chris to see.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
I think
We
he'll
have
like that
great
one.
stuff planned. Future Giallo Rex 2, we'll talk about that, what Darren would like me to watch. Expect that one in
Yeah.
the future. A big project him and I are working on as well. So great content, like I say, Under the Blade. We have one we've been talking about, 2 films, Dario Argento. Of
Yeah.
course, we'll be talking about opera and we'll be talking about Stendhal Syndrome, 2 great films, of course, by him. Stendhal Syndrome, I don't think enough people talk about.
I don't
So
either. Yeah.
great stuff ahead. Channel Future Giallo Wednesday. I'm going to be talking about what is it? Basically, I restarted up Giallo Wednesday, talking about the films we've all talked about on this stream right here, Giallo Rex and stuff like that, and just going through the ones. So definitely, Who Saw Her Die, I think will be part of that. And future Slasher Saturday, I'll pick one out for that. Future Found Footage Friday, I'll pick one out for that. So, just having fun being 46 years old now and just doing my content and having fun with it. So thank you all for joining. I am Chris C., the Film Nerd. That is Darren from Subjective Perspective Collective. You all have a great evening. Enjoy Gialli. Enjoy this awesome genre that we both love so much. And word of advice to you, very beautiful ladies, don't go in the dark outside because there is a mask killer out there waiting to get you all. You all take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.
See y'all in Disneyland.